For thousands of years, something lay buried beneath Mount Sinai, sealed in absolute darkness and undisturbed by time or human touch. When archaeologists finally breached the hidden chamber, they expected ruins, but instead uncovered objects that defied reality, forged from materials unknown to science and crafted with impossible precision. And at the center of the chamber sat something that no scientist, no religious text, and no civilization in recorded history had ever prepared anyone to find.
The screen started flickering hard the moment the drone slipped through the narrow opening and crossed into that darkness. And this wasn't normal darkness. This was the kind no one had touched for thousands of years. For a few long seconds, the feed completely broke into static, and this deep mechanical hum filled the control tent. Not normal. It sounded like the signal itself was struggling to stay alive after crossing that line. Then suddenly, it came back, and what they saw next, no one was ready for it. The corridor appeared fully. The walls rose on both sides, perfectly straight. Massive sandstone blocks locked together so tightly they didn't even look like blocks anymore. They looked fused. No cracks, no damage, nothing. And that's what made it worse, because how is that even possible? The mountain above had been beaten by heat, wind, time for thousands of years. But this place, it looked untouched, like time had never been allowed inside. No one in the tent said a word, they just stared. As the drone moved forward, the readings started coming in, and this is where things got unsettling fast. The air inside wasn't moving at all. No airflow, nothing. Humidity, zero, not changing. Temperature, completely fixed, not even a slight shift. That's not normal. That's not how sealed spaces behave. So what is this place? Then the light hit the wall and the carvings showed up, long panels, one after another, like a story. The first one showed beams coming down from above, straight down, and the way it was carved, it forced your eyes downward too, like something was coming in fast, hitting or forcing its way through. The second one, this is where people started getting uncomfortable. It showed human figures bent low, heads pushed down, and it didn't look like they chose that position. No, it looked forced, like something above them was pressing them down, holding them there. Then the third panel showed up, and this is where everything changed. Rectangular shapes were coming down from above, and the human figures were reaching up toward them. They looked like tablets, but this didn't feel like a gift, not even close. It felt forced, like something was being given, whether they wanted it or not. At this point, you could feel the tension in the tent. No one was saying it out loud, but everyone was thinking the same thing. What are we actually looking at here? Then the light hit the containers along the walls. One flashed back gold, bright, sharp. Another one held crystals, but the way they reacted to the light, that's what got people. It didn't look like normal reflection.
It looked responsive. The drone's arm then brushed the floor, and dust lifted slowly into the air. Way too slowly, like it had been sitting there forever, undisturbed. And under that dust, there were gold pieces scattered everywhere. Not placed neatly like the containers. No, this looked messy, broken, like something had happened here, something violent. And then things got worse outside. Back at the camp, the weather suddenly turned. Sandstorms hit without warning, hard, violent, the kind that slams into everything. Equipment started taking damage, the wind was loud, relentless, you could barely see. Then the heat kicked in, pushing systems past what they could handle. Power started dropping, communication started failing, and here's the part that really bothered them. The closer they worked to the entrance, the worse it got. That's not normal, that's not random. So what is causing it? Then ground sensors picked something up. At first, it seemed small, easy to ignore, but then they noticed a pattern. It wasn't random, it was repeating over and over and over. And the worst part, it wasn't just data anymore. People said they could feel it, a pressure moving through the ground, into the tent and into them. Inside the corridor, the drone reached the end and slowed down, then stopped. There was another barrier, bigger, heavier, more imposing than the first. And at that moment, the question changed. It wasn't what is under this mountain anymore. No, now it was who already knew, because this thing had been hidden for a very long time, long before this excavation ever started. And the people who knew weren't scientists. They were monks. They'd lived at the base of this mountain for 14 centuries. Why?
Mount Sinai rises out of the desert in a way that makes everything around it feel smaller and more exposed. The land around it is harsh and empty, made of dry valleys and broken rocks stretching in every direction. The heat during the day feels like it presses down on the skin, and at night the cold feels sharp enough to cut through bone. Nothing about this place feels gentle. It feels like a place that was never meant to hold life for long. For thousands of years, people have treated this mountain as something more than just stone. In the story of Judaism, this is where divine law was given to Moses, where he climbed alone into smoke and thunder and returned with stone tablets said to carry the words of God. In Christianity, this same mountain became a place where God revealed power and judgment in a way humans could not ignore. In Islam, it is remembered as the place where Musa, known as Moses, spoke directly with Allah. Three major faiths built on different histories all point to the same mountain in the desert and treat it as a moment where heaven communicated with earth. That kind of shared belief has made Mount Sinai feel untouchable, as if it belongs to something beyond human ownership. But beneath that shared belief, a different question began to grow in modern times. Some researchers started to notice that the traditional identification of Mount Sinai might not match the older descriptions found in ancient texts. A growing number of biblical archaeology scholars began pointing towards another location, a mountain called Jabal al-Lawz in Saudi Arabia. They claimed this mountain showed signs that could not be easily explained. The top appeared darkened in a way that looks like it once burned. There were reports of carvings in the area that looked like a golden calf scene, which matched the Exodus story. Then there were claims of a large split rock formation that could have released water in massive quantities. There were even suggestions of stone arrangements that looked like ancient altars. But when some of these researchers tried to study the area more closely, they were stopped by authorities. Reports spread that they were detained, warned, and ordered to leave. They were told not to publish or speak about what they believed they had seen. The mountain was placed under strict control, and public access became impossible. The full findings were never released in a clear way to the public. That silence created more questions than answers. If the traditional mountain was not the real location, then what exactly had been protected for so long in the desert stories of both regions? Far from those debates, in the Sinai Peninsula, another ancient presence stood at the base of the traditional mountain. St. Catherine's Monastery had been there for more than 1,000 years without interruption. Thick stone walls protected it from the desert outside. Inside, monks lived quiet lives of prayer and study, keeping watch over one of the oldest surviving Christian communities in the world. The monastery also held something far less visible, but far more powerful. It contained one of the largest collections of ancient manuscripts on Earth, second only to the Vatican. These texts were written in many languages and covered many centuries. Some of them had never been fully studied by outside scholars. In the middle of the modern era, workers repairing parts of the monastery made a discovery that changed everything. While fixing a section of a tower, they broke through what looked like a sealed floor.
Behind it was a hidden room that did not appear on any record or map of the building. It had been closed off for so long that no one alive seemed to know it existed. Inside, they found stacks of old parchment manuscripts that had remained untouched for centuries. Among them were pages that matched the Codex Sinaiticus, one of the oldest known copies of the Christian Bible. These pages had been believed lost forever, yet here they were, sitting in silence behind a wall that had been sealed by unknown hands. The discovery raised a deeper question that no one could answer clearly. Who had closed that room, and why had it been erased from memory? That question became even heavier when scholars learned about the monastery's collection of palimpsests. These were manuscripts where older writing had been scraped off and replaced with new text. In ancient times, parchment was expensive, so scribes often destroyed older writings to reuse the material. but modern imaging technology revealed what had been hidden underneath. Some of the erased texts included early medical writings, unknown mythological poems, and even fragments of languages that were thought to be completely lost. The act of erasing them had not been random. It looked deliberate, as if someone had chosen what the future was allowed to remember and what it must forget. When scholars asked the monks about tunnels or hidden spaces beneath the monastery, the answers were always cold or incomplete.